everyone. So this video is going to be two things. So first, I'm actually going to go through and quickly show you guys all of the albums that I have bought throughout the entirety of 2020. I figured this would be a good kind of way to wrap up this year and kind of show how my collection has progressed, especially in terms of like new releases and stuff, because I'm always trying to keep up with new releases and not be too far behind at least. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then the other thing that I will be doing in this video is the K-pop album tag, which I have done in years past. And I originally was not going to do this video this year for various reasons, but I figured if I lumped it in with this video, it would make for something a little bit more interesting, I guess, maybe, I don't know, but this is what we're doing. I am going to first go through all of my albums and stuff that I've bought this year, and then we can move on to the like tag part of this video. So I'll be going actually in release order, so yeah, we can get started. First things first, I only have one album that I bought in 2020 that wasn't actually a 2020 release, and it's weird, literally only one, but it is Kim Jae-hwan's Moment. This was actually released in December of 2019, so yeah, I did originally buy one version of the album, but actually, you know what? I think I bought both versions of this album this year. I'm not sure how I forgot, but I did buy, yeah, like I said, both versions of this album this year. The fact that it was released in December 2019 kind of tipped me off, I guess. Just because I know it took me a while to buy both of these things. This is the only non-2020 release I bought this year. And then moving on to 2020 releases, in January, this is the only release I got from, yeah, January. So this is NCT Dream's The Dream, their Japanese release. And then moving on to February, we have Bloom Eyes. So there's version 1, I Was, I Am, and I Will versions. So that's all 3. So the year started off pretty slow for releases for me, but moving on to March, we have NCT 127 with IZONE. So we have the C version there and the N version here. And the T version was released later, but I do have that as well. And then next we have ITZY's It's Me album. So I have all 3 versions of that. Okay, and then I have WayV's Take Over the Moon sequel album. And I have one version of Daniel's Cyan. And I also have one version of Ong Sung-woo's Layers album. So for April, we have, the first thing here is Girl Kind's Future album. So this is signed to my name, this is why I'm trying to like cover my last name. But yes, this was Make Star. And then we have H&D's Soulmate. And then we have Impact's first mini album. And then we have NCT Dream's Reload. And then moving on to May, we have all 4 versions of Nuit's The Nocturne. So we have all 4. And then we have both versions of 127's The Final Round and Park Ji-hoon's The W. And then we have ONEWE's first full album, One. This is signed, obviously. Then we move on to June. So for June, I have all 3 versions of Twice Is More and More. And I have WayV's Awaken the World, Daya's Flower for Seasons, all 3 versions of IZONE's One Lyric Diary, and we have all 3 versions of AB6IX's Vivid. So then I actually did not have a single new release I needed to buy in July, so we can move on to August. So August we had Daniel's Magenta, and we have ITZY's Not Shy. So then moving on to September, we have CLC's Helicopter. I actually bought a lot of copies of this album. And we have Uptension's Light Up. This is also another album I bought so many copies of. And then we have Super One from Super M. So I have 7 copies of this album, 2 of like the normal versions, and then 2 of the like other covers. And then I have all 3 of the units. Sorry, this is really hard to show, but there's that one. And then we have this one. So yeah, that was it for September. And then we move on to October. We have WeI, their first mini album. And we have NCT 2020 with Resonance Part 1. And we have ONEWE, this is their Studio Wii recording album. I believe this is like a demo album. And we have all 3 versions of Twice's Eyes Wide Open. And that's it for October. So moving on to November, I have all 3 versions of Park Ji-hoon's Message. And then I have both versions of NCT 2020's Resonance Part 2. That was it for all of the albums I've bought in 2020. I do have one album on the way. I have both versions of JBJ95's Jasmine on the way, but I just don't have them yet. If we add that all together, I bought a total of 73 albums this year. 4 new releases. Overall, I bought 75 albums, which, to be honest, is considerably less than I bought last year. Last year, I kept track of everything that I bought. Last year I did a lot of buying from previous years and keeping up with new releases. That is why I bought so much last year. I feel like last year was probably one of my biggest, I feel like 2019 was one of my biggest years in terms of collecting. I bought probably way too much stuff last year, but this year I felt it was way more manageable, especially with the changes I made to my collection about like halfway through the year. I felt like it was very manageable, and I felt like I did not have a hard time keeping up with new releases this year. So that is really good. That's like where I want to be, just because in the past I have collected so much stuff, and I'm just kind of happy I don't have to do all that anymore. But I am missing a few releases from this year still, so on my wish list as of right now is CIX's new album, Hello Chapter 3. I don't know if I'm for sure gonna get that yet, but I might. And then I still need to get AB6IX's Salute, which I'm going to focus on collecting the photo cards for that album first before I get the albums, so that'll probably take some time. And then I still need to get OneWe's newest single. I don't know what it's called. I only missed a few new releases this year, and I'm happy about that. I feel like there was some lulls throughout the year, so like January, February, there wasn't really anything I had to buy, and then July I literally didn't have to buy a single new release, which hasn't happened in the entire time I've been collecting K-pop. There hasn't been a month where I haven't needed to buy a new album, at least since like 2015. But that's crazy to me, and it's just nice to see that like compared to 2019, I had at least 4 releases I need to get every month, at least 4. But 2020 was pretty light, and I liked that. I had a nice time collecting album wise in 2020, so that's fun. But I'm gonna move on to the second part of this video now. So I will be going off of the questions that I've done in the past. I will leave them down in the description if you're at all interested in seeing them. So I will be choosing only albums that I bought this year. I don't think there's anything outside of the things I bought that I really need to mention. If there is, I guess I'll mention it, but I should only be mentioning things that I bought. So first question is favorite album, and there's quite a few contenders for this, but I think my overall answer would be NCT Dream's Reload. I feel like as a whole, NCT had a really good year music-wise, and I just think that this album is the best that came out of any NCT subunit. I don't love Raiden so much as a title track, but I think Quiet Down, definitely one of my favorite B-sides of the year. And then 7 Days, Love Again, and Puzzle Piece are just perfect songs, and I just had a really good time listening to this album the entire year. So yeah, I would say, at least where mini albums are concerned, that this is my favorite. I want to mention a full album just because, but I think Twice's Eyes Wide Open is perhaps the best full album that came out this year. There was actually quite a few of my faves that came out with full albums this year, which I feel like is different compared to past years. But like, I don't even think I had a full album to choose last year, but I feel like this year was just really great for full albums. So I want to mention this just because I Can't Stop Me is such a wonderful, great song. But then all of the B-sides on this album are really great as well. They have such a mature and still Twice feel to them. I just feel like the music that Twice has been coming out with in the past 2 years has been insane, and I think this is one of their best efforts in recent times. So then next question is favorite packaging. I think I want to mention Kang Daniel's Magenta album just because this slipcover is super cool, and I feel like I just really like this whole thing. Like, not only does the color really appeal to me, because like pink is my favorite color, but I just think this is overall really nice. Like, if you're gonna do a box packaging, I feel like this is how to do it. Like, it's really high quality, and the photo book is really nice, so yeah. But if I had to choose like a runner-up, I feel like it'd be something super basic, like CLC's Helicopter, just because it's like basic book packaging, but it's like, well, first of all, it's got like the sprayed edges, which is a really nice touch, but we have just basic book packaging and then a really nice photo book, and that's it. So yeah, it's my favorite packaging of the year. So the next question is least favorite packaging of 2020. I decided to choose this album. It's one I actually just got recently, but it is Jihoon's Message, and you can see that it has this flap here. This is how you open it, but like, it doesn't really close. Like, if you can see that, it doesn't close. I mean, otherwise it's not the worst thing in the world, but like maybe just different outer packaging would have been nice for this. I just feel like this looks really bad. Like, I feel like, especially for like a full album, I feel like this could have been a lot higher quality for the packaging. I don't know. I feel like full albums kind of merit more effort, I guess. I don't know. But I think that's all I really want now. I also want to mention H&D's Soulmate, just because this slipcover does not stay on for shit. Like, it's probably one of the worst slipcovers I've ever come across. Just because it does not do its job in the slightest. So, next question is favorite photobook concept. I feel like there's a lot of things I want to mention here, just because I feel like a lot of groups just had really nice concepts overall this year. But I feel like my overall favorite would probably be NCT from the final round, and I'm talking like both versions of this, because first of all, look at that. I really love the outfits. And I mean, there's just like simple pictures that kind of accentuate the goodness of the outfits. I don't know. Like, I don't need something kind of bizarre and out there to catch my attention. I just really like the outfits here. So yeah, it's that version. But then I really like this version as well. Mostly because I just really like the emo goth kind of look. And like the fake tattoos that some of the members had was really nice. And overall, this just really speaks to me. So yeah, we're gonna find that one picture of Jaehyun. And we're gonna cry about it. But yeah, overall, these just look really nice. You can see the picture there. Where is it? So we have this picture of Jaehyun, which just makes me cry all the time. He's so... Oh, and this one too. Oh my god, everything about this photo is everything. But yeah, so that's probably my overall favorite, but I will mention some others as well. So I will mention Daya's Flower for Seasons, just because I feel like this version, especially of their album, is just super pretty. I just love really pretty dresses and pretty girls and pretty colors, and that's what this is. So yeah. So this is super pretty. Another one I'll mention is IZONE's Bloom Eyes. I feel like all three of the versions of this album were really just super pretty, but this one in particular, again with the same thing as Daya's Flower for Seasons, I feel like it's just super cute. I like the pinks and I like the whites and just kind of like the softer colors of this concept. So I won't go through the photo book of this one, but it's still super pretty. And last one that I feel like deserves to be mentioned is this version of Twice's More and More. So I loved everything about this concept, and I collected a lot of photo cards from this album as a result, but I feel like the ethereal, super soft colors and just pretty outfits is everything to me. I love this concept so much. And I feel like a lot of them had really pretty hair that just matched the concept really well as well. Yes, I love this photo book. Alright, so next question is, I'll kind of lump these two questions together. So, favorite rookie girl and boy group albums. I don't have any rookie girl group albums from this year, unless you count IZONE, but at this point they're not rookies. So yeah, I guess I just don't have any rookie girl groups that I was paying attention to much this year, but I would say that I really did like Stacy, their debut recently, and UA, they just recently put out a song that I really liked. So I feel like if I'm paying attention to any new girl groups, it's those two. Stacy more than really anything. I really like their debut a lot, but other than that, I didn't really get into any rookie girls this year. But then for rookie boys, I feel like this is slightly default. So you can take this however you feel, but it is WeI's album. So basically, I started collecting WeI kind of as an experiment, so there's no saying I would collect them forever. But I really did like this album, so I decided to buy it and start kind of like my Donghan collection, just because I've loved Donghan for a long time. I don't see any reason not to support him now. But yeah, like I said, I really enjoy this album. I think Twilight is an awesome song, like really good. Listen to it a lot. But yeah, the album is overall pretty good. And I think the song that is produced by Daehyun is pretty good as well. So, I mean, if you haven't checked out WeI, I highly recommend you do, although I'm sure you have, but who's to say, you know, whatever. If you have any rookies that you want to recommend me in the comments, I will gladly take any recommendations. I did not check out many newly debuted groups this year, so I'd like to do that. So the next question is an album that surprised you. So I'm going to go with Sungwoo's Layers album here. And the reason for that being just because, I don't know why, but I didn't expect to love this album as much as I did. I love his voice, and I'm really happy that he came out with an album finally. I'm manifesting a comeback. Hopefully we get one someday soon. But yeah, this album overall was really, really good. And my favorite song on this album is Guess Who. The song is so good. But yes, this album did surprise me quite a bit. The next question is favorite non-Korean release. So I feel as if this is almost a default answer again, but also I feel so strongly about this album. This is Wavy's Awaken the World. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this section of this video, NCT had such a strong year music-wise. They put out so much music and so much of it was just flawless. And this album wasn't anything different. I fully enjoyed this album so much. Okay, so there's a track list here. I feel like Turn Back Time, it gets me so hyped. I love that song. But I really like Only Human. Domino is really good. I love Electric Heart so much. And Unbreakable. Bad Alive is good. I just honestly have not listened to the English version at all. But I do enjoy that version of it at least. But I think, yeah, like overall the album is super good, and I'm just really happy with this release overall. So the next question is favorite subunit, and to be honest, I don't think there's a single subunit album that I bought this year. So unless you want to consider Daya's Flower for Seasons album a unit album, since it was only 5 of the 7 members, that's fine, because I do really like that album. But I'm gonna kind of skip this question. So the next question is favorite solo album of 2020. So let's see. So I feel like this is kind of a tie between both of Daniel's albums, and to be honest, I think out of all of the 101 solo albums that were released this year, these two are probably my favorite. I don't know, but I feel as though the music that Daniel released this year was just so good. And off of Cyan, I would say my favorite is Jealous. In general, I just really love that album because it's more of a soft concept, and that concept suits Daniel really well. But also off of Magenta, I feel as though that concept fits him really well, and so the music that he released with this album was really good. Also, there's no track list on the outside of the album, so I won't really talk about that, but Movie is such a good song, and I think he had some really good features on this album that really helped it be as great as it is. So yeah, overall I think Daniel had a great year. He put out 2 of my favorite solo albums this year. Next question is album that could have been better. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this question, but I will mention ITZY, their It's Me album, mostly just because I feel like ITZY could use a lot of work where their B-sides are concerned. Their Not Shy album actually had some pretty good B-sides, especially compared to their past B-sides, but I still feel as though their B-sides could be a lot better. And I felt this way about Twice for a long time as well. Not to say that I didn't like any of their B-sides, because I enjoy a lot of Twice's B-sides, but it's like they could be a lot better, and that's exactly how I feel about ITZY as well. So yeah, that's what I'll mention for this question. So the next question is random album recommendation. So the first random album recommendation I want to make is OneWe's album, One. So this album is really good. I recommend this album mostly because it is like more or less a compilation of their past singles that they did. So let's see if we can see the track list. You definitely cannot see it, but I can. So the title track on this album, which was a new song, End of Spring, is really good. Love the song. There's also a rock version that may appeal to you more. Who knows? But then they also have all of their past singles that they had released prior. So like Q, Regulus, and Reminisce About All, along with all of the B-sides that were with those singles. So really it's just like a compilation of some really good songs that I highly recommend. If you haven't checked out this album, I highly recommend you do, obviously. I think I also will take the time to recommend Uptension's Light Up album, just because I feel like this album is really good. Light is probably one of my more favored title tracks from them, at least in a while. I listen to it a lot, even still. It's been a couple months since its release. But then the B-sides on this album are pretty good as well. They were going to do some promotions for Destiny, but unfortunately didn't really get the chance to do that because of everything that happened. still, I think that song is really great, and like the B-sides on this album again are just really good, so I highly recommend you check this out if you haven't. So lastly, this is probably going on for way too long, but I also really want to recommend Infact's mini album that they put out this year. So this album is so good, and I really recommend that you check it out, just because I feel like Infact has some of the best music just in general. Lie is really close to the kind of style they've been going with, at least for recent title tracks, and it's one of my legitimate favorite sounds from any K-pop group, really, like any boy group, really. I just feel like it suits them really well, and they're just doing really great things, especially with their title tracks. But with the B-sides on this album, I feel like we have some really good fun ones, and then we have some good ballads. So yeah, and my favorite song on this album by far is Wi-Fi. It's like an instant pure serotonin boost every time I listen to that song, just because the beginning of that song with Eunjae's voice, just in general, but overall the song is really fun and just makes me generally really happy. Always lifts my mood, makes me feel good. And then we have La Di Da, which is again just a really good song. Gave me Tension Up vibes, which is a past song of theirs that I really enjoy. But yeah, overall I just really recommend that you check out this album. But yeah, that's it for my album recommendations. Yeah, that was everything that I got in the year of 2020, as well as the K-pop album tag for 2020. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was kind of rambly a little bit. This will also be my last video before the start of the new year, so I just want to wish everyone happy holidays and a happy new year, you know, all the good stuff. But yeah, with that said, that was everything. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.